Hey, there he is. Have a
Ooh,
team.
is that better? You probably liked it better with the mask on, didn't you, Keith?
No, I can't read your lips on the sidelines if you got a mask on.
That's
Coach.
a good thing. You know, I may wear that thing from now on.
Yeah.
Well, I think, number one is, of course, having an open day here this early in the season, it's a little unusual. But I thought, anytime you go into first games, there are a lot of unknowns, as there was in that one. And I think as college coaches around the country, including myself, were concerned about was, not having spring ball and not having all that is how well, the team tackled and, executed the fundamentals and techniques and all that thing. And I thought, we went into even during these fall practices, we had no officials for the entire time because we couldn't bring officials in here. So I thought coming out of that game, the one thing I was really pleased with, I thought we tackled extremely well. We were single-digit missed tackles defensively. And I felt like I thought we operated pretty clean, was just having 2 penalties and that type of thing. So, we can build on those things. Excited where we are at this point, but again, we've got a lot of work to do. We got an excellent team, of course, as you know, in Appalachian State coming here in a couple of weeks. So we got a lot of work to do between now and then.
Doc, I know that, normally in normal years, you all would get together as a team and watch that App State game coming this Saturday. How do you get all the team together, or do you break it down into little groups and do that? How do you go about that?
No, I think they're better off just, we'll come in here Saturday morning and practice early, and that game's a noon game on Saturday, so we'll get them out of here in plenty of time to go home. They can watch it on their own at home, because I think the more, the least amount of times you can get them together as a group is probably a good thing right now. So, we won't have anything like that. They'll go home and they can watch it on their own.
Not looking back on Grant's performance, in your recollection as a coach, do you ever remember a kid having a debut game that hasn't played in a couple of years and been as efficient and as he was?
No, I felt going, you guys heard me all along. I got great confidence in Grant, and I felt like going in that he was going to have an excellent game. I felt really confident. I didn't quite think it was going to, kind of play out like it did. So, it's a tribute to him and his preparation, and the way he prepared for that game. And, he's got to take that game now, and he's got to put it behind him and, grow from it and move on. Because, as I said before, we got a huge challenge here coming in a couple of weeks, and one that we're looking forward to as a coaching staff, and he'll look forward to as well.
Because your team played so well in that first game, do you think that helps avoid like a lull, having an early bye week? Do you think maybe they're feeling a little confident, they're not as bummed, going into this week with no game?
I think anytime, if you got a good football team, which I like this team a lot. I've told you that in the last 2 or 3 weeks that I really like what this team's all about. But these kids just want to play at this point. And I think anybody there shouldn't be any laws at any point right now, to be honest with you, because as we know, of course, we got one game in, we're 1-0, and we got another one coming here in a couple of weeks. So, we got to do a great job with our preparation. This team has done that all along this fall. I don't expect that to be any different. And, we've given them a couple of days here. Yesterday we came in and watched the tape, and today they got totally off. So we'll get back going again tomorrow as far as practice and that kind of thing is concerned. But I expect them to come in here locked in and put that game behind us and let's move forward, because we have to.
You mentioned you watched the tape. When you look back, now almost a couple of days after the game, what did you see?
Well, I saw a team that executed extremely well, and I felt one thing I was really pleased about is, we only played, that first offense and this went in there and played one series the second half. But I thought the one thing I saw when those other kids went in there, normally when you substitute to that extent that we did, people start moving the ball a little bit and it gets a little sloppy and that kind of thing. And that didn't happen. I saw guys, from as a band going in there and making plays at second offensive line, going in and executing, and Mcdaniel and the receivers and that type of thing. So, and same thing defensively, and I thought it was huge to have the opportunity to go play as many. I think we played 66 players and we traveled 70 and had 70 dressed, which I've never heard anything like that happening. So, to be able to get those guys in the game, down the road, we're probably going to need that, and we're talking even this week coming up is when we practice tomorrow and throughout the week is this probably be a pretty good week to work some players that didn't get the opportunity to play in that game, because you never know at some point, we may need those guys. So we got to try to keep everybody ready and like I say, control what we can control, and that's getting better as a team the rest of this week and, of course, going into game week next week.
Buck, have you heard some of the rumblings about maybe the Rice game and what's going on with that? I know you focus on the task at hand, but as Mike Hamrick said, this is going to be a year where you're probably adjusting on the fly almost week to week with who you're going to play and where.
Well, I don't think there's any question. We got to take it one. We know we got App State coming in here. It's all we know at this point, and that Rice thing's up in the air, and I don't know what's going to happen there. But I got enough issues just worrying about getting this team ready to go play and Appalachian State coming in here. So I'll let Mike Hamrick and David Steele and those guys worry about the Rice game and who we replace that with or whatever. So I know Mike and David, they've worked nonstop on trying to get games and try to schedule games. And you know what? There's going to be more changes. I mean, we're going to look up here in 2 or 3 weeks and probably having the same conversation we're having right now about somebody else. So I think at the end of the day that, our conference will do a great job trying to replace games and match some people up so we can get some games. We can only worry about, we got to worry about what we can control, and what we can control right now is App State getting ready to come in here.
Doc, you want to talk a little bit more about Knowledge McDaniel? I mean, Knowledge really just had an outstanding game when he was out there. I mean, you got some depth there, running back. Yeah, there's no question. I mean, I think the guys had the opportunity to watch us practice. You see Knowledge, you see Papillon. Ali's another guy that he had some issues where he couldn't dress Saturday, but we like him as well as any of them. So, that running back room is probably as good as it's been, since I've been here. That's a tribute to Pep and the recruiting part of it. So, with those guys in that room, that's a deep room. But hopefully you're going to need things like, at the end of the day, like I mentioned before, who knows, by week 3 or 4 where we are. But I know just before the season's over, we're going to need all of them. That's for sure. But it's great to see a guy go in there and do what he did. And he's a talented guy. He's 220, 225 pounds and physical and can run. And he's going to be a good back someday.
Doc, I know that a lot of the talk centers around Grant and his performance, and he put the ball on the money. But for the receivers to take the leap that they did and make some tough catches in traffic, a couple of sideline catches, hands catches, things like that, did you like the progression that you saw from your receivers as well?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, I felt, going in, as you all know, we didn't get a lot of production out of that receiver room a year ago, injuries and, all the above. And, those guys are all back. Brock's a year older. He's a sophomore, he's a second-year player right now. Same thing with Talik Keaton. Willie's healthy and had a good camp. And then you add those other 3 guys into the mix with, Shadid and, Woodyard and Corey Gamage and those other guys. It's great to see those guys go in and make plays and have the production they've had, and along with the tight ends. And we were still getting production out of X and Devin Miller. And I think we had 13 different receivers catch balls, on Saturday, which is a good thing. I think all 4 tight ends had a catch. So Amir Richardson's a good, Amir Richardson is another young player that's really come along, going to be a good player for us. That was good to see.
So now you're on this early bye week. How do you hope to keep the team focused, or how do you maintain their focus, knowing that, God forbid something could happen between now and then, and maybe that game's off? How do you just maintain focus at this point?
Just control what we can control. And that's coming out here tomorrow and going back to work and going back to practice. And I think we got a good plan. We got a good plan as far as what we're doing as coaches and our practice schedules and all those things. So we'll follow that plan. And again, we have to lean on these players a lot. You got to lean on the leadership on this team, which I really like a lot. With Sheldon stepped up, and Knox's and all these guys. We're going to they have to hold each other accountable. And this year more so than any other year I've ever coached football. It's going to be your teams you have that have a chance to be great football teams. The teams take ownership in that team, and then that needs to happen more so this year than ever, along with the leadership part of it, because you just, it's not only what happens here in this building, it's what happened when they leave. I mentioned that 100 times. These guys got to make sure they hold each other accountable once they walk out of here to put themselves in a position so we can play every week. So to this point, we've done a great job with that, and we got to continue to do that.
Doc, looking generally at playing on Saturday, what did that do for the psyche of you, your team, the fan base, just to have a little bit of a college football Saturday again? What did that mean to you?
Well, I think it was huge, and just having the opportunity to have some fans there. We're one of the few teams in the country. I think App and Charlotte, who's playing on Saturday, had 0 fans at their game. So just having you watched that Navy game last night with BYU. There was 0 fans there as well. So I think that's a tribute to Mike Hamrick and, everybody here at Marshall, the administration, to be able to put, 12,000 fans, whatever that was. But you know what the great thing about that fan base, they all stayed. I mean, they were there. I think they were so happy to see a football game that they wanted to make sure they took it all in, because they never left, and that was a huge thing. Our kids noticed that. Our kids enjoyed having them there, and I think it'll get better and better as the season goes along. And hopefully, we can get a few more people in there every week.
Doc, Eli Neal, he's a kid that also was getting some extended live action in a starting role for the first time. What did you all see on film from him at that linebacker level? It looked like he, Beckett, and Beauplan did a really good job.
Yeah, and Neal is a guy who, he played, last year as a true freshman. Probably shouldn't have, to be honest. And but you saw him you saw him looking like a linebacker. If you got to coach a heck out of that linebacker, chances are you don't have one. You know what I mean? And you see guys line up and make plays, and you saw a lot of natural instincts out of him. And Ja'Cory Anderson played so much faster than what he played last year as a true freshman. He came in and played really well. And then you add Beauplan's a guy that just he played on every kickoff. He played probably as much as any defensive player we had and made a bunch of plays. So Charlie Gray, he's going to get he got his feet wet a little bit, and he looks great. Of course, Beckett, he's just all over the place, So all those guys, I think overall, I think we've got more depth there, which also carries over to the special team part of it as far as the kick coverage. And we didn't see the punt coverage. That's one of the first I've ever been. I don't think, of course, I know here at Marshall, it's the first time we've ever had where we didn't punt the football. So we didn't get that opportunity to watch that punt team. But I thought our kick coverage was extremely well. We got to get a little better on our kickoffs.
With with the transition of Eli Neal, and obviously you all brought in some JUCO guys, some older guys. Is a year in the system a little more benefit than a guy that might have been a couple of year season, but in a different system, or how do you all balance that and look at that as coaches?
Well, there's no question. I mean, him being, playing as a freshman has helped him, but, I think, we started getting able to actually coach these guys July 6th, which doesn't normally happen, so we've been at it a long time. So even the Beauplans of the world, the Cavalcantes, the Charlie Grays, those guys have had a million reps in walkthroughs and practice. And if you remember, we started week 0. We thought we were playing week 0, so we got that extra week in. So we've been going at it a long time. And, Brad and that defensive staff do a great job of coaching these guys up. They've got a lot of reps. I watched a little bit of that Navy BYU game last night. I thought the one thing was interesting was, I think it was Navy came out and said they hadn't tackled live the whole camp, and they hadn't played live or they haven't tackled the whole camp. And I just don't think you can do that as a football team. I mean, I think if you're going to play this game, you got to line up and play, and you got to tackle, and you got to do all those things. And that was one thing I was pleased about with our game is that we actually, like I said, we had very few missed tackles, and I thought we played sound and technique and fundamentals. I thought were good.
I know you're probably itching to play this Saturday. So are you using? I guess, do you feel this time off right now? Do you look at it as an advantage or a disadvantage because it's so early?
Well, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, you probably in a perfect world, you'd rather not, especially if you play the clean game that we played this past Saturday, like turn right around and play again, But, there's nothing going to be perfect. There's not going to be anything normal this year. I mean, we just got, and you know what? 2 or 3 weeks down the road, something else is going to change. It changes every week. So I think we better get used to this conversation we're having right now, because we're probably going to have that 2 or 3 more times, before this year is out. So again, I think the thing we got to do is we can't worry about, off dates and open dates and when we're playing and all that. We just got to focus on what the task at hand is. And that's to do the best job we can possibly do to get ready to go play, App State and play a great football game. So we're going to do whatever we can do as coaches and players to get ready to go play that game, just like we did, Eastern Kentucky. And then we'll worry about, we'll look up the next week and see, is it 2 weeks when we play? Is it 3 weeks? Is it 1 week? Who knows? So we'll worry about, App State right now, because we can't control that today anyway.
To put that type of performance together, you all are the only game on national TV at that time, and instantly, Grant's performance starts, blowing up on national social media and things like that, to get that type of exposure for Marshall right out of the gate, what does that mean to this program moving forward?
Well, I think it's huge. You've heard me say many times, Grant, you heard that anytime you can get put your program, Marshall University, on a national stage, it's huge for the entire program, the school, the university, the town, and everything. And from what I heard from, my family that watched the game, that type of thing, that ESPN did a tremendous job for us. I didn't see it, but I heard it was great. So anytime you can do that, it's just great exposure for our program and our community and our school, and it's a great thing. So that's one thing about, the way the season's kind of unfolded this year, is you're going to probably get a lot of exposure because you don't have as many teams playing. So the ones that should benefit. The Eastern Kentuckys of the world, they're going to get more exposure than they've ever gotten, on Austin Peay's and those guys that are playing. I mean, they're on national TV more than they would have ever been on a normal year. So you got to take advantage of it. And when you play well, it even helps you more, I think.
Doc, can you speak to how Grant commanded the team and how a team kind of rallies behind a new guy? They hadn't really been under fire with him, and he seemed to, obviously throw to a lot of different people. The offensive line did its job. How do you see that relationship in just one game unfolding?
Well, I think it's going to continue to grow. I think I told you before the game, I don't think I know I told you before the game, that our players have great respect for Grant, about the way he goes to work every day and the way he prepares. And you saw our team rally around him from the first day of practice and watch it grow every day. You guys that were here watched him grow as a player every day throughout practice. And he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better. And, our kids, like I say, have great respect for him. They've got total confidence in him. And like I say, I think a performance like that's even going to, give our kids more confidence in him. It already has. And he's got to put that behind him now. And we got to put it behind us as a team too. And and move forward, because the only good thing about the open date is we got a couple more extra days to get it put behind us and move forward, which, we'll start that tomorrow.